Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contests and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Now, find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all sports information, from live in-game betting props and futures. Head to Bet Online today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Now, use our promo code BLEAV50 to receive your 50%. Welcome your bonus on your first deposit. Now, Bet Online is where the game starts.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Believe. I am Justice General Radford. That is the coach himself, Coach Muki Hawkins. What's going on, Mook? How you feeling tonight, man?
I'm feeling good. It's Thursday, and the boys is back at it. Heading to Pittsburgh tomorrow, so I'm excited to see what this Bills team is going to look like week 2 preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. They look good week 1 preseason. It was a couple of things that maybe need to be cleaned up, fixed here and there, but overall, they got the W. There were a lot of players who got some shine, some players who maybe started off a little rocky, but then they had some redemption later in the second half. There was a lot of good things going around. What was one of your favorite things from the first preseason game that stood out to you, and who was it?
Well, I just think the overall aggressiveness of the defense really translated to what you've been really seeing in training camp. Guys making plays all over the place and contributing. So, you got a chance to see how impactful Poona Ford can be, in this defense. You saw a better Tim Settle. You saw Boogie Basham, flash. You saw Traven Howard, with a big stop at the end right there. Game situational play. Hey, Matt Barkley, his best numbers as a quarterback. I don't give us preseason, regular season, whatever. Matt is sharp. He proved that he has Dorsey's playbook in sync, and he was able to make plays. We saw some flashes out of some guys, in the wide receiver course. So a lot of things, we got some guys emerging, and we got some guys that need to step it up. But all in all, Bills won.
Bills won, absolutely. One of my favorite things was seeing Matt Barkley go out there balling out of control. He was 14 and 15, and really the only incompletion was a drop. A lot of guys look good. Keyshawn Johnson looked real good out there with the 81. That was real cool. Gave Calvin Johnson vibes, 81 Johnson. It was cool to see that in the Bills uniform. What was your thought on Kyle Allen? How comfortable are you with him as our backup going into the season?
Before I answer that, let me get into another thing. It was always good to see DeMar Hamlin out there flying around making plays
for sure.
too. So that's one thing that I was excited about as well. Seems like he's a better player. He's definitely flying around and making some plays, and again that the growth mindset, and I guess the overall thing slow down for you. So. Maybe that process is hitting DeMar as well. So, he looked good. And back like he never left, really. So, Kyle Allen, I get to read into this offense when players come here now. If you haven't been here and basically, you're coming from another team, this playbook is very complicated, and Naeem Hines said it best. It's just very, very complex playbook. But a lot of people say once you get it, it's fun to be in. Josh says that. So maybe I think some of the struggles that Kyle Allen had was maybe because of that. But, he's been in the league for 7 years, so he's got to be a little bit more sharper, a little bit more aware of where he wants to go with the football, I thought, at times in the game. He definitely needs some help from his line. The right side, we haven't seen anybody, to really get Spencer Brown in the competition so far. Week 1 wise. So we'll just have to see. But definitely quarterback two competition is Matt Barkley is the front runner right now.
Yeah, I would have to say so. Uh, Before we get into this week of practice slash Pittsburgh coming up here, I got one more player I want to ask you about. This guy's been getting a little bit of attention, and I mean, rightfully so. He definitely popped out there on the field. There was a report. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna forget about it because I don't know if it's true or not. I don't want to. But anyway, Andy Isabella, give me your thoughts on him.
Well, I mean, let's just get right into it. I have guys that's emerging, and I have guys that need to step up. That I want to see step up week one. I mean, guys obviously that has emerged since week one is Andy Isabella. He had that Cole Beasley flash when he had that little quick little out and turned it up for 30 yards. That gave those Cole Beasley vibes. So he earned a few more plays, and he also earned some reps with Josh. So when you're out there and you're getting the ball thrown from you by QB1, that's definitely a good sign for you if you're trying to make this roster. All right. So uh, Anthony Isabella is also, he's definitely emerging, and he gives you that special team guy too. So you never know, what's going on with that. Again, Keyshawn Johnson, he flashed, connecting up with Matt Barkley throughout that game, had some great catches and, kept the sticks moving. So it was good to see him finally play to the potential that everybody's been speaking of with him being on this roster. Shaver's probably not the best practice player, but he proved to be a gamer by, hey, he had some touchdown, and some big plays, and, he had a touchdown catch as well. And then, Des Patman, he was able to produce. So, is you got a lot of receivers emerging, rightfully so. So I don't know if the Bills will hold 6, 7 receivers this year. And we ain't even mentioned Justin Shorter, the fifth rounder from out of Florida. So, man, it's going to be pretty interesting. And this receiver battle is really heating up. So, a lot of guys really emerging on the offensive end. On the defensive side, Boogie Basham. Boogie Basham finally, played like, his draft potential of being in the second round. Going out there and making plays and standing out. That's what they really want to see, out of Boogie Basham year 3. I know in my presser I called it year 2, but hey, it seemed like that's what he's been playing like. I forgot that it's going into his third season. So again, when guys develop the game, sometimes it takes more than others to develop it and mature and for the game to slow down. So hopefully, it may happen this year with Boogie Basham. Now let's see if he can, be consistent, if he can do the same thing he did, versus the Colts, versus the Steelers. So, and then keep in mind too, you're going up against the other teams too. So I'm quite sure, coach may be evaluating from that picture, like you're going up against another team's twos. You're really a one as far as potential, but this is what you're supposed to do against twos and threes. So it's good to see that you are able to, stand out amongst those position groups, so those units. You want to see that out of Boogie Basham in preseason. AJ Espinoza is looking good as well. Dorian Williams, the third rounder from out of Tulane, he's definitely flashing, was flying around all over the place Saturday. So that definitely earned him some minutes. I know a lot of people want to see him play, in the middle because a lot of people still have some sort of concerns about who's going to be that guy. Right now T. Dot is holding that down. Terrell Bernard is nursing a hamstring injury. So, we have to see who's going to have to emerge, as next man up status in that regard. Maybe Dorian Williams in the passing situation. Who knows? But we'll just have to see the extent of Terrell Bernard injury, and that's how that go. Who else I said on the defensive? Puna Ford.
Oh, he went crazy. Oh my
Puna
god.
Ford. I mean, again, you see the impact with him being out there. It's definitely a difference
Yeah.
maker, than last year. So imagine that out there with a Jordan Phillips, and
Tim
it's
Settle
it's
too
good to
was
see your
really good.
money's worth out there, and that's what I basically saw. I saw the Bills' money's worth in free agency this year. Go out there and make plays when they're supposed to. Even Tim Settle, settled down and made some plays. So it's good to see the continuity is, winning battles out there for this, very seasoned Super Bowl contending team.
Yeah, I think that game really showed how much depth we have. How much talent we have. In our depth, and you see Taylor Rapp out there getting some snaps. He looked good, like you mentioned. Damar Hamlin looked really good. He was in on almost every tackle in the first couple series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was like you said, Boogie Basham looked really. He kind of reminded me of the start that AJ Epinesa had last year, where like we thought AJ Epinesa was about to go crazy. So hopefully Boogie Basham can take that next step. Like you said, we would like to see him be in that, you know, the number one rotation, especially in these next few years as Von Miller gets older. Leonard Floyd probably won't be around too long. Um, so we would like to hand the reins over to Boogie Basham and AJ Epinesa, but they gotta earn that. So, but yeah, everything looked good. Now this week there was a little bit of tension that kind of made headlines and or at least around Bills Mafia about arguments at practice and how this one was a little more heated than usual. What type of sign is that in the preseason when teams get heated like that?
Well, as preseason and training camp progresses, you know, practices you want your practices to be more intense as they start getting more closer to the regular season. You want that intensity to turn up a notch. It's going to be different from training camp. We broke training camp, so now we are in that preseason phase, that competitive phase. I'm trying to make plays to make this roster, or I'm trying to make plays to to win a starting spot on this team. So again, when you're a Super Bowl contender, you is gonna you're gonna want to make plays. You want to stand out. You want to make this roster. You want to be a starter. You want to be an impact on this team. So yeah, the juices is get a little bit more competitive than usual, and yeah, receivers getting roughed up a little bit. But hey, they need to get that rough and they need to get roughed up a little bit because they may not get it in the regular season, but at least they be prepared for it. So
Right.
you know, just toughen them up a little bit. So I don't really think that much of it, but I like to see those guys being physical. So I guess that's how you sharpen iron, man. Iron sharpen iron in that regard. Even though they may be feeling guys, the defensive side may be taking it a little bit too far. But hey, I would have a over aggressive defense than a non aggressive defense any day.
Yeah, for
So I don't
sure.
have no problem with it. I like the competitiveness. Those guys go out again. Training camp, you saw guys making plays on both sides of the ball. That continues, at One Bills Drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. I would rather see the aggressiveness. For me, it's kind of the same as the Stephon Diggs situation, where it's just like I would rather know that my guys have passion than that they just want to, you know, fit in or follow the rules or whatever the case may be. Because football is an emotional sport. It's a emotionally taxing sport. So you're not always gonna have the perfect answer or response, whatever the case may be. Like people train 365 for a goal, and so hey, I love the passion and I appreciate it, to be honest, as a fan. Um, so using that passion going into Pittsburgh here this weekend, what are you expecting to see? From the ones and maybe a couple of backups who you think need to have good showings in order to solidify their spots on this roster.
Um, well, I want to see the 12 personnel. I want to see how exotic it's really going to look. I'm quite sure that's what we're going to probably see this week. We didn't really see too much of it last week. Josh in there, so we'll see Dalton Kincaid getting some targets, early and often. This is my tight end battle. My guy, Darnell Washington is drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he's doing quite well in camp. The Bills drafted Dalton Kincaid, and he's been doing quite well in camp. So I'm going to see will this game be showcased for just that alone. It's like tight end battle here. So I'm really excited to see that matchup. I'm really to see how Josh Allen was going to fare with all these new weapons. Hey, they played Pittsburgh last year, so see what different things Pittsburgh has to offer. I know it's still preseason, but this is the William and Mary Bowl. Coach McDermott and Mike Tomlin, teammates at William and Mary. So I don't care if it's preseason, regular season. Whenever these two guys are opposite sidelines, it's always the William and Mary Bowl. So it's going to be, quite sure it's going to be a very intense preseason game. But I definitely want to see Josh just manage the game. I want to see him manage the game. I want him to be accurate. ESPN rankings came out. Josh wasn't on the top 10 of accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. So I definitely something I want to ask Josh. Is about his completion percentage. He threw for 63% last year. His best year was 69%. So I think if he's to be a little bit more efficient, a little bit more accurate, he can throw for those 5,000 yards, and help his team out a little bit more that way. So I want to see how efficient Josh is going to be with these new weapons out there. How the timing, the rhythm, and with Kincaid he's going to have. Obviously, Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. I just want to see those connections real quick, and how much will the Bills throw the ball with Josh out there, trying to balance out the run game. So we'll get my first glimpse of that. Play careful attention how much balance they're going to have running past with Josh Allen out there for a good quarter and a half.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily think or like a completion percentage dictates how accurate you are as a quarterback, because not all passes are created equal. You take a look at a Jimmy Garoppolo, he can throw for 70%, but most of his is screens and checkdowns. Does not mean he's more accurate than Josh Allen, who, for the most part, is trying to get the ball at least 13 yards downfield. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That don't sit right with me. But it is what it is. Taking a look at, Pittsburgh, they got Kenny Pickett coming back in. We've seen how good George Pickens is. That boy's a beast. TJ Watt, obviously, is a lot to be concerned about. Now, TJ Watt specifically, I don't know if he's going to play or not, but
I doubt if TJ Watt plays.
But if he does, that's going to tell us a lot about what our right tackle is going to look like. Like, you're going to get a glimpse of what our ones are going to see, as far as Dion and Spencer, what they're going to see against the best in the league. Are you worried about that at all? Like, let's say he does play.
Is Bud Dupree back in Pittsburgh? I think Bud Dupree is back, so maybe we may get that matchup. Bud Dupree versus Spencer Brown, Quest, over there on that right side. Shell is on the reserve retired list. They brought back Matakavich, so that needs to step up. That right tackle, whoever it is, it definitely needs to step up. I want to see that.
Do you think Spencer Brown, has what it takes to be the right tackle going there?
Yeah, that right tackle definitely needs to step up. Dave Edwards needs to step up. Kyle Allen definitely needs to step up offensively. That's what I'm going to see going into this preseason game offensively. Other than that, I thought guys fared quite well offensively. But week two, those are the areas I want to see, step up. On the defensive side, I want to see Rapp do a little bit more than what he did out there. He's very instinctive, but I want to see him do a little bit more. There were some plays made against him, against the Colts. The Colts was quite efficient throwing the ball. The Bills did, obviously show that bend but don't break, but it's a little bit more aggressive, defense. So I give them that. But I do want to see a little bit more out of Tyler Rapp. So I want to see him step up a little bit more versus Pittsburgh and Kyer Elam and Christian Benford. Penalties, at the wrong time still, So, they got to get better at that. I don't know how they improve that. They got to get a little bit more better in technique wise. in big situations. Like it was key third downs, and both of those guys get holding penalties. You can't have that in the game. That kills morale, and it keeps your offense, your high-powered offense, off the field. So they gotta clean that stuff up. That we know the athleticism and ability is there. They just need to get back to I guess more technical stuff, so they won't get those little penalties at the wrong time. Just not relying on their technique and just a bad habit.
Okay. So let's play a little game theory, right? If this was the regular season, you take a look at the kid Darnell Washington out of Georgia. Of course, he played. He was drafted to the Steelers. You were a huge fan of his coming out of college, um, and he's looked good. He's looked good in this ring. I ain't gonna lie, he's looked good. He out there running really nice, crisp routes, showing really good hands, big body, fast, unreasonably quick, especially for someone his size. How would you guard him if you're the Bills? If this is like week one and he's lined up across from you, especially when you play in a nickel for the most part. Would you be guarding him with a Teron Johnson? Would you be guarding him with a Matt Milano, a Dorian Williams, Tyrell Dodson? Like, what would be the game plan trying to defend someone like that should he become a problem?
Well, I mean, you got to try to cover him with your best cover guy, your best cover linebacker, whether a Milano or a Dorian Williams. Um, you do have some bigger corners out there, that can play some safety. Tyler Rappies. I mean, you just got to be physical with Darnell right now. I mean, knock him off his rhythm and timing, stuff like that. That's what you do with a specimen that he's 6'8", so he ain't too many guys that could match that height, one on one with him. So you would just probably have to be as physical as you could be, bump him off his mark, and let the quarterback go somewhere else, find somebody else with the ball. That's what I'll do right now until I can find at least a 6'4", 6'5" safety. I don't think he's in the league yet. He's coming though, but he's not quite there yet. So
Yeah.
that's what I would do with that. So I want to see what will be the game plan. How the Bills are going to do that. Are they going to bracket coverage him with a guy like George Pickens? So it's going to be some great matchups to see. We're going to see Kyer and Pickens battle it out like old SEC matchup back in the days when Georgia played Florida, and Benford going to get his crack at it too. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see. The battles that's going to be on the opposite side. Um, you got Najee Harris. Pittsburgh is no slouch. People better not sleep on Pittsburgh this year. I'm gonna tell you that. Do not sleep on Pittsburgh. That AFC North is gonna be crazy too. You got Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and man, do not sleep on the Pittsburgh Steelers at all. So we'll see. This is a good matchup for the Bills. Week 2, a worthy opponent. That matches up. Even though the Bills kind of manhandled them last year, but I do believe that Pittsburgh got some good pieces in the offseason, and we'll see how it all shakes out Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. People count Pittsburgh out all they want, and they still keep winning. Mike Tomlin has yet to ever experience what a losing season even feels like as a head coach in the NFL. And he keeps winning no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the odds are. He comes out on top for the most part. So that will be an exciting matchup. Looking at the Bills' run defense, you mentioned Najee Harris, and their run defense in Week 1 was, I mean, great, especially from the first team. They were shutting everything down. A guy like Najee Harris, is across from you. Do you see that same type of aggression, or was you know what I mean? One thing we've been missing from the defensive line, I would say, is consistency. This is a really good rotational bunch on all four positions. The defensive, both defensive tackles and on both edges. Are you comfortable with their probability of being consistent this year in terms of being productive in the run and pass game?
Well, all I need to see is Puna Ford do what he did last week. I need to see Boogie Basham do what he did last week. We know what Von Miller could do. We know, basically, I want to see what Leonard Floyd can do. I don't think he didn't really play too much, so maybe this might be that week. We'll see a glimpse of that. I want to see him get after the quarterback. I want to see, what it's going to be like when Leonard Floyd make plays out there opposite of Rousseau, and the Bills have some weapons up front. And like you said, consistency. How consistent can this defensive line be with the havoc that they caused week one against Indianapolis? And they always have a good offensive line as well. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see if the Bills can be consistent in the trenches once again. And it would be good to see them get after the quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll love to see that. Leonard Floyd coming in. I don't think he played in the first preseason game, but that is definitely a big piece for us going forward, especially for the potential of being without Vaughn. Even though I mean, he's moving around like somebody who was never even injured. So we don't know how soon he's going to get back. Allegedly, week one has not been ruled out. So we'll see what happens with that. But in the meantime, having a guy like Leonard Floyd being able to step in and give some production off the edge is invaluable. Boogie looked amazing week one. He was getting his hands up. He was getting his hands on people. He was setting the edge. There was a play, I think it was like the third play of the game where Richardson ran a QB option, and Boogie didn't make the tackle, but I love his patience on the option play because you're going to see. I mean, Anthony Richardson is the highest rated athletic quarterback in the history of the combine. So I mean, like, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? So he's going to make a lot of people look stupid this season. So I don't mind him necessarily missing that tackle. I would like to see him make it, but the fact that he was able to stay patient, stay in his zone, not go for the ball, not commit too much to either way, and be there to slow him down, I really
Mhm.
like that because you're not going to see too many guys with the athleticism of Anthony Richardson. Maybe Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, and that's it. So, I really like that. I really like what I saw from our defensive line. And like you mentioned, Puna Ford, Tim Settle was just blowing things up while he was in the game. I hope that they can stay consistent because I feel like the trenches and the inconsistency in the trenches is the reason we aren't like 3-time Super Bowl champions right now. So I definitely want to see that. But any predictions for the game this weekend? Anything you want to see from anybody specific?
Well, again, I want to see, with Josh being out there now, how much balance will, the Bills run the ball with Josh being out there. I mean, James Cook did look good on his carries. He averaged his regular 5 yards a catch. Carry 4 carries, 20 yards in the score. Murray, he definitely looking good, running behind Cook. Maybe we get a chance to see what Damian Harris can do as well this week. So it's just to see Josh Allen being out there and what's actually, what how different is this offense going to look,
Yeah.
with Kincaid out there and Josh. So this is the first time that you will get a chance to see that in Pittsburgh. So I'm just excited to see how Dorsey's going to dial this thing up, what he's going to start out with, to see, how he can start this brand new personnel grouping that he desires and be able to be consistent on being one of the top scoring teams in the NFL. So, number two last year, and went that far from one. So let's see if they still can be consistent and put up points in this new style of offense by Dorsey and the two tight end, 12 personnel setup.
You really want to see that 12 personnel? I feel you. So I would love to see Dalton Kincaid on the field, see what he can do. I think we're going to see a lot of him in the slot, though. If I'm being honest, I don't know how much like traditional two tight end set we're going to
Well,
see.
this is you got an all pro safety out there, Mika Fitzpatrick. So it's going to be good to see how they're going to occupy Fitzpatrick instead of him helping over the top with Diggs. You know what I'm saying? So we get a true look on how that's really going to look and how the Dalton Kincaid effect is going to start affecting defenses, and hopefully we'll see how that will free up Diggs. And Gabe Davis, Dorsey, like, he's opening up the route tree for him this year. So, we'll see more route combinations out of Gabe as well. So it's going to be a lot of exciting things to see come Saturday. A lot.
Absolutely. I cannot wait. More Bills football. I'll never say no to that. All right. Let's go ahead and get into, final thoughts moment with Mookie. Let everybody know what you're thinking.
I mean, well, Johnson is going to play a quarter and a half, so I mean, at least a quarter score a couple of times with Johnson being out there, I'm guessing. And then it's going to get heated up come that third quarter. Pittsburgh is definitely going to bring some fire, so it's going to be again a good competitive team, some good work for this Bills team to see how deep this roster is, how good this roster really is, and you know just about people that we wanted to flashed. But again, I want to see how Kyer and Benford's going to fare against Pickens. I want to see Rapp make a few more plays. I want to see, our the right tackle spot, win a few more battles. So who's going to emerge out of there other than Spencer Brown? Dave Edwards, I want to see him play better. He definitely needs to play better. He had such a great training camp. I just haven't really seen that transfer, into game day. And then obviously Kyle Allen, 8 for 15, 122 yards on a day. But, he did have that one no, and sometimes he didn't look like he didn't know where he wanted to go with the ball. So that, again, could be, attributed to, trying to learn Coach Dorsey's offense for the first time and getting the feel for where guys need to be and where he wants to go with the ball in the game day setting. So that's natural. So let's see if he's a little bit more comfortable this week and where he want to go with the football versus this defense, with the Steelers defense. So I say Bills still pull it out. It's going to be a good close game again. You can say 27-24. I go Bills.
Okay. Yeah. I agree. Kyle Allen seemed a little shaky. He didn't seem like he was too comfortable behind the line. He was just jumping all over the place. He made some nice throws, but it really felt like his impatience was what made him not look great. But he didn't look horrible, at least not as horrible as everybody was saying he was on the TL. But I thought he looked fine. But Matt Barkley just looked so amazing that it outshined him for sure. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see what's going on. And you mentioned how whoever has to check George Pickens is going to have their hands full. Boy, Deontay Johnson is not a joke either. They are going to have a handful with him as well. But that is going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of BLEAV In Bills. Shout out to Bet Online, BLEAV 26 shirts, Buffalo fan base, 96.5 WFO. Yeah, everybody, man. Go ahead, Coach. You want to send us out, man?
Bills play the Steelers in the William & Mary Bowl. Do you believe? Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contests and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Now, find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all sports information, from live in-game betting props and futures. Head to Bet Online today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Now, use our promo code BLEAV50 to receive your 50%. Welcome your bonus on your first deposit. Now, Bet Online is where the game starts.